Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at most likely the strongest Retro Cup team here from the rank 1 in the world currently. I don't think this is a team that they actually used, but I saw a video from a Japanese, I think, YouTuber who covered this team from them. So definitely going to link this video also down below. But I want to try it out for myself, and I climbed 202 points in 4 sets with this team, and maybe could have even won some more battles somewhere really close and came down to like IVs from Pokemon. But here you're going to see some battles. I didn't really check out which one I really had in there. I just cut out some of them, but I went, I think, a total of 16 and 4 with this team, which is just absolutely massive. This team was so nice to play, and we're gonna take a look at some gameplay here and how to play this team. And honestly, the main benefit of this team has to be the lead. Like, honestly, Deoxys defense was so good for me. This Pokemon, even though you see on the right side the IVs of it, which are not really ideal, definitely have to build a new one when we finally gonna get this Pokemon back into raids and I get like good IVs for it. But the benefit of this Pokemon currently, especially with Rock Slide is really important, by the way, for this Pokemon. Definitely try to go for it over the Thunderbolt, which you usually play. The benefit of it is just you're going to have usually a fairly neutral or decent matchup for the lead, and when the opponent stops out, you can just go for the Psycho Boost, get either a damage lead or like get a shield advantage, and both of them is going to be so insanely good for me. Here we're going to be able to easily win this first game as the opponent decides to forfeit. Honestly, this team was amazing. Here, for example, Deoxys in the lead, going to have a great matchup. They swap out into the Cresselia, and I can swap out into my Kaiwei. I think I'm misplaying this matchup a little bit here, but we're going to take a look at this one here as well. We can just go for a Shadow Ball, and we should be able to nearly knock them out from this range already, and actually do this. So maybe this was not even that game, but I definitely had a Cresselia matchup where I didn't go for my Shadow Ball on time. They got to 2 charge moves, which didn't really matter. But at this point, we're going to be able to even go for Dark Pulse against the opponents of Vigoroth. They're still going to be forced to go for the Rock Side in order to knock me out, and we're in such a great spot as we even get the shield here, which I find kind of interesting. Dark Pulse doesn't really do that much damage usually from the Kaiwei, but we can now align our Vigoroth against the Deoxys again, and we can just swap out now to the Oranguru to counter the opponent's Jellicent. This was kind of a hard counter game for the opponent. There was not a lot that they can do about it, but Jellicent here is not going to have a great time against Oranguru, and this is kind of how this team kind of works as well. You have a big weakness against like ghost type Pokemon in the lead. We have our own ghost type in the back, which is going to be fairly neutral against it, but we also have our Say Swap of Oranguru, which has a unique typing of normal plus psychic, which is actually a really good type, which just going to be able to knock out so many Pokemon here. We're going to be able to win this game, but let's take a look at the next opponent. Here we're going to see one of the issues for this team. The entire team is weak to Dark type moves, and the issue here is I'm basically going to be forced to shield anything that the Gyarados is going to go for, because Shadow Crunch is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, so I'm deciding to use a shield here. The entire team again is weak to Dark type moves, which of course, you cannot run Dark-type Pokemon in general, but there are a lot of Pokemon that have coverage for it, which might be a little bit tricky. But here we're going to see the Arctibax coming in. We can maybe even go for another charge move, but I decide to let this move go through so I can get some extra energy later on with my Deoxys, which will be able to hopefully reach another Psycho Boost here against the opponent's Gyarados, which should work out pretty well. So far, so neutral, like we're still in an okay spot here, because this should get the final shield, and I can swap out into my Kaiwei, which is going to do some neutral damage with the fast move already, and we can use a shield here against a potential Crunch. The Crunch is coming through, and the opponent is going to have the Lantern in the back. This is actually something that I can still deal with, and maybe I could have played this game a little bit better. I'm going to take a look at this one real quick here as well. My play here most likely would have been to still go for a charge move, but undercharge it by quite a bit, because you're going to see here, I'm going to go straight for my Shadow Ball, try to go basically as low in terms of my health as possible, so I can maybe outspeed the opponent here to the Psycho Boost, but I'm not going to be able to do so. So I needed some extra energy already prior. This Crunch is going to knock me out, and this is going to be a good game. A very close one there, but again, was a kind of unique Pokemon. But here we're going to have a great lead next up, and we're going to also see the Ariados swapping in here, which is really good for us, because Ariados is not going to appreciate the Psycho Boost, and this is basically the beauty of having the Deoxys defense in the lead. Being able to just get an easy shield advantage early on is just so nice. Here the opponent actually is running Trailblaze on their Ariados, which is kind of funny. They're going to use another shield here against us, which is okay. I can just let the next move go through as well. Most likely going to be another Trailblaze, but we are now 2 shields up. We're most likely going to go 1 shield down here now, because the opponent can still reach a lunge and going to debuff me with that, which is fine. But I kind of just want to get rid of the opponent, because like this, I'm going to be able to realign, and I can align the Deoxys against the Dugong, and whatever they have in the back, I can align against my Oranguru. And Oranguru, if you know this for the Retro Cup, does not have a single answer in this meta. Like, it's literally very free. It's very neutral against most Pokemon because of that. It's not like the most dominant Pokemon ever, but there is nothing that can really hardwall the Oranguru. So here we're going to be in such a good spot because I can freely just keep the shield and swap out here. There's no drawback about this. We're going to see the Poliwrath in the back, and this is going to be an amazing matchup as just one Trailblaze is all it takes to knock them out. I could even go for the full farmland if I want to, but I'm just going to go straight for the Trailblaze. Gonna get the easy knockout here, and this is going to be it for this game because just one more confusion or like 2 more confusions would be enough to knock them out. Next opponent, let's take a look what they're going to run. Poliwrath has nowhere to go for this team. Like, literally, Poliwrath was one of the most common Pokemon I encountered. And, like, where does it want to go? Like, does it want to go against the Psychic type in the lead, the Psychic type as a Say-Stop, or the Ghost type in the back? Literally, the entire team hard-walls Poliwrath, which is so good for the current meta because I encountered this Pokemon quite often. And so, here we're gonna see the Say-Stop of Oranguru, but now with the new Trailblaze on this Pokemon, you're even going to have coverage against those Water-type Pokemon, allowing you to even go for up here with the attack as well, which does not really matter too much because the opponent going to go for an Icy Wind. But you're going to have a great time here because you can still even reach a foul play, and Oranguru as a Say-Stop is just so amazing in the current meta, allowing us to get the knockout here. And we will see that the opponent swaps back into the Poliwrath, gaining some energy, which is kind of fine for them. But I'm still going to have my Ghost type in the back. I just kind of want to keep my Deoxys alive just in case they're going to be weak in the back against me. But here we're going to see that they're going to have the Dragalge in the back. I decided to swap out now, getting some extra energy first. And now I can go for the Psycho Boost right away. Gotta get the shield from the opponent. And they're forced to go for an Outrage, I feel like. But I can just go for another Psycho Boost against them. This is going to get them low enough that one charge move off Kaiwei will be enough to knock them out. I'm going to go for the Dark Pulse. I decide to go for a shield here because Outrage is the hardest hitting move. They're going to decide to go for the Awkward Tail though, but I think that's going to get the knockout against them already, and it does. So we can now hopefully still win this game against the Poliwrath. They can still reach a charge move here. It's going to be the Icy Wind, but it is not enough for them because Dark Pulse is coming through, and even though it's resisted, this is going to be it for this game, and we can move on to the next one. So let's take a look what the next opponent is going to run here. We're going to have the Credilli in the lead. This is going to be an amazing force because it's going to be a rock type against our counter user. But honestly, like Credilli matchup, because this Pokemon is so bulky, it's not even that clear for the Deoxys, which I find kind of interesting. But because I kind of want to keep my Deoxys around for later on, I'm just going to go for the Psycho Boost, hardest hitting move, and I can swap out now because my backline can just farm them down. And like this, I basically get rid of one of the Pokemon and get some energy advantage here already. But they're actually going to run the Talonflame in the back, which is not really ideal for me. I can go for one foul play here, which is going to be able to do some decent damage, as well as they're going to be forced to go for another charge move. I can let this move go through. It's going to be a Fly. I'm deciding to use a shield here because I don't want to get hit by another Fly. Fly does some decent damage against me, and so I'm going to use a shield here because it's guaranteed hard-hitting damage, and it's going to be a Jellicent in the back. And here's the cool thing about it. My Pokemon here, my Kaiwei, is going to do super effective damage with the Shadow Claw. This will allow me to get them very low enough, certainly at least later on, for the Psycho Boost of my Deoxys. So they're most likely going to be able to win this matchup because they have the shield advantage, but we're going to be able to get them insanely low, and they're still going to be forced to go for a Shadow Ball here because Surf is not going to be enough. And so as long as we can hit the Psycho Boost against the opponent, it's going to be fine, but they can swap out into the Credilli. I had to undercharge that Rock Slide here, and we're going to be able to still reach the Psycho Boost in time. That was way closer than it should have been, and we can still win this game. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have the Aurorus in the lead. Aurorus is going to be a great Pokemon to have, as you're going to see here the opponent swapping out into the Lantern. That's exactly what I mean with that. Like, Aurorus was a great lead for us, and the opponent is now going to have some damage onto them, and so they should be in Shadow Ball range for the Kaiwei. And this is going to make this all a little bit easier. They're going to go for a Surf. I'm totally fine with that. But also, because we have coverage now with the Grass type coverage on the Oranguru, I don't even care too much about realignment here. And I know that I can still survive a Surf. I know that they would be able to two-shield like through me here if they want to, but it does not really matter to me because if they want to shield this, they can shield this, but now I have a two-shield advantage with my Oranguru. I can use a shield here, expecting that they're gonna go for a Thunderbolt now. But what I did not expect is that they're gonna go for a Surf, but they can still go for a charge move here. and this is actually the Thunderbolt. Like, honestly, like, where did they get all the energy? But I can still swap out. They're going to have the Cresselia in the back, but still not looking too good for us. It's going to still be a little bit of a close one. They're running Confusion on the Cresselia, which is interesting, but as you're going to see here, we will be able to go for a Rock Slide against the opponent. This is going to do some decent damage against them still, and of course their fast move is resisted. They're forced to go for a big hard-hitting move here. It's going to be the Grass Knot, and it is not going to be enough to knock me out or even come close to it, as I can go for another Rock Slide. We will put them with that into Confusion downrange from the Oranguru, and I can let this move go through and hope that Oranguru, with the energy lead that I have and the shield advantage that I have, can deal with the opponent's Auroras here, as we can go for the Trailblaze, buff our own attack, gonna get them low enough for sure for a foul play, so I just have to reach a foul play in time. Can we do this? It's going to be a little bit of a trickier one. Can they outspeed me? They cannot, and the foul play is gonna get the knockout here, and so this is going to be a very good game as the Cresselia goes down. Next opponent coming up, well, let's see who's going to be our next victim. It's going to be a Deoxys lead here. You can play that in different kind of ways. For me, I would most likely actually be able to win the CMP, or like in general, I would win this matchup here if I want to stay in there because I have a very high attack Deoxys. But I don't really want to, because I kind of want to keep the energy there. Just in case I have like a similar team than I have, I decide to swap out into the Oranguru, and they decide to go into their Lickitung. Lick is resisted here, which is going to be great for me, as you can see, because this is like the cool thing about having the normal type on a Psychic type Pokemon allows you just to resist the Ghost type damage, which is just so good defensively. So normal and Psychic is such a great defensive typing currently in the meta. So we're going to be able to just use a shield here, and I can just go for 2 foul plays, either gonna get the knockout or get 2 shields advantage. Both of them I'm fine with. They're going to let the source move go through already, but like this I can realign, and so I can align my my basically Kaiwei in the back against the opponent's Deoxys, and this is going to be amazing, as I even get a shield here, and I'm still going to force them to throw. So we are in a very decent spot. I still have a ton of energy on my own Deoxys. I can swap out into my Kaiwei, and we can see what they're going to have in the back. I can let this move go through. It's going to be the Psycho Boost, and they can swap out into their Dugong. I should have swapped out a little bit earlier, but I can still reach my 2 Rock Slides there, and so I can align my Pokemon because I was able to realign with the Oranguru. I can just go for the next charge move here. The Rock Slide is coming through, going to do a ton of damage against them, and I can even let this move go through here because I have so much energy on my other Pokemon already. I would have actually been able to reach the Rock Slide there, so there's a little bit of a mistake here with the Psycho Boost, which can be a little bit costly, but I think I can just, they actually can still go for a charge move there. I think I would have been able to reach a Rock Slide, but it is going to be fine, as I can just go for the Shadow Ball against the opponent. This is going to be a very good game, as the Kaiwei is going to be able to clean up this game. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have another great lead with Auroras in the lead again. We're going to see the swap into the Medicham, and I think this is also something they could have maybe played a little bit better, but I'm going to allow the opponent to go for 1 Ice Punch here, which is fine, like they always get there. But I overfarmed by a little bit too much here. I didn't think that they would get to an Ice Punch that fast, but there's going to be another one. So they're going to get me a little bit lower than I want to, especially as I am going to have now 100 energy and I cannot really farm up extra. They decide to undercharge a little bit so I can get a little bit faster to my charge moves. Going for another Shadow Ball here, I might be even able to reach another one against the opponent later on. Gonna do a ton of damage here. We see the Dark Bolts even reaching in time, and this is going to do a ton of damage, gonna get the knockout, and they're going to have in the back a Ghost type, so their Oranguru is going to be able to easily win this game. Next opponent, let's see what they're going to run. We're going to have a Dragonair here. Dragonair is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, but here again, you can do the exact same thing here with the Deoxys. Just getting a shield advantage is already very nice, as you can swap out immediately afterwards into the Oranguru. Going to be the safest safe swap here in the current meta, as we can see the Body Slam connecting. This maybe is something that you could also decide to shield up if you want to. I decided to shield up the next one coming up, but I think I maybe would have been able to just go for the full farm down here, but I can just still go for a charge move, foul play coming through. The opponent is going to have a Lickitung in the back, which is okay. I think foul play does a little bit more damage actually than Trailblaze, but Trailblaze is going to buff your attack, so it's maybe comes down to the same if I can hit still Confusion here. But Lickitung is a little bit of a tricky Pokemon to deal with for this team, but it's not too common because Vigoroth is kind of common. So here we're going to see the Body Slam connecting. We can still try to reach another Psycho Boost. We're just going to try to get them a little bit lower for a Ghost Step in the back. The Psycho Boost is going to connect now. We still have a few HP left, and I can swap out immediately now into my Ghost Step, as they're going to have a Poliwrath in the back. This is going to be amazing for me, as I can go for the Shadow Ball, and I'm fairly certain that they're going to try to bait me here. So I'm most likely going to try to no-shield this one. expecting the Icy Wind, as I would outspeed them otherwise, and yes, they decide to go for the Icy Wind, and so I will be able to reach a Shadow Ball near the end time, not quite there yet. But the Icy Wind is coming through again. We're going to be now at -2 attack, and this is going to be a little bit tricky. I undercharged by a little bit, so I can get 3 more fast moves in, which is actually kind of crucial. As you can see here, I can still reach the Dark Pulse, and this undercharge was so amazing, as we can now win this game with this Dark Pulse there. Honestly, Fabianarmani is such a great sweeper endgame, it is just wild. We're going to see here the next opponent going to have an Arctibex swapping in, and we had a Deoxys in the lead already. Like, you couldn't stay in a little bit longer with the Deoxys as well. Maybe this would be the play, waiting until the opponent throws. But here I decided to go for a shield, I think, because maybe an Avalanche would most likely do enough damage, but they decided to go for a Dragon Claw. But I can just go for the full farm down. This is amazing. Or Rangaroo again. Going to be able to go for some Dark Pulse foul plays here against the opponent's Deoxys if they want to swap back in, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So I can align my Pokemon perfectly, which is just going to be so nice for me. They're going to still be forced to throw another charge move, kind of similar to the game that we had earlier on already. The Rock Slide is coming through. I can swap out into my Fabianarmani. They stay in for a little bit, which is really good for me. They're going to go ahead and go for their Rock Slide actually this time, which is interesting, so they decide to stay in for a little bit longer. I can go for my own Shadow Ball, and I expect that they're going to be weak against me in the back, so I'm going to decide to also use a shield here, expecting that it might be the Psycho Boost. It's just going to be the Rock Slide, and we will see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be the Lickitung, so they were actually not weak, and they were just basically playing with me here. So they're going to swap out, they're going to get out against my Deoxys basically, but I can go for a Rock Slide now, trying to get some damage before I debuff my own attack with the Psycho Boost, and I still should be able to survive a move here. Go for the Psycho Boost afterwards. It does not knock them out, but we most likely gonna get them low enough that we can even Shadow Claw them down. Perfect amount of counters I got still in there, and I can go for the Psycho Boost to get them into the deep red health. And I can go for the full farm down, and now one more Shadow Ball is all it takes to knock out the opponent's Deoxys. And so we can also win this game here. Now let's take a look at the next opponent. Final one for today. We're going to have a decent lead for us, which is going to be the Vigoroth, and they swap out into the Frostless. It's going to be an interesting one here. Maybe I should have went to the Rangaroo. I'm not sure about it. Shadow Ball, of course, is going to be a little bit scary here, but our fast move is going to be super effective. Don't know what is really the best answer for Frostless in this current meta. Could have even stayed in and go for a Psycho Boost if I wanted to. Here at this point, as you can see, I just commit to the farm down. I'm just going to use a shield and commit to the farm down. Getting out of this matchup with a ton of energy might be the best way for me to go forward, because now I can get some Dark Pulse damage up against the opponent's Vigoroth, and as we can see, 3 Dark Pulse should be enough to knock them out. So we're going to be in a decent spot again. We can just go for some more Dark Pulses. They only have 1 Pokemon left basically at this point, because this thing barely has any HP left, and they decide to swap out into the Fabianarmani, allowing me to go to my Rangaroo. But this game is not over yet, because the opponent is still going to be able to go for 2 Dark Pulses, and 2 Dark Pulses is going to be enough to knock me out. So it's going to be a tricky one. They have to basically shield this move up, and they are doing a great job at getting the maximum amount of energy, so they actually might be able to even outspeed my Deoxys. Deoxys is going to be close to a move already, because I got 2 counters in the beginning, but it's actually going to be a CMP tie, which is really bad for me, because the Shadow Ball is doing a ton of damage. I will be able to still go for a Psycho Boost here. This is going to get the knockout, and we can see that the Vigoroth is not going to be able to win this game, and we can claim a 5-0 here, which is the finals that I did for this team as well. And as you can see, I went up to 2,448, which is actually on the leaderboards currently, so very good team so far. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like. It's a little bit of a longer one, but I feel like this was kind of worth it. See you in the next video tomorrow, and I see you then. Bye bye!